Morning in the indices, so the holders are all, they're pretty volatile today, let's just say. So it's been a swing day. It's been, first we had a swing move higher, then we had a swing move lower. It has been bi-directional, to say the least. There's been lots of activity on the long side and the short side of the market. Just had a couple things set up that I thought were going to trigger just in time for a little show here, but we missed by just a fraction of a trigger. So let's just see if that's going to come together and come up with a game plan for the afternoon and see if we can't get something happening. All right, let's take a look at the charts. Here we have it. This was the triple Q this morning. So, you see that we had this big move up into overhead resistance. So first resistance, the blue line up here, is the first inflection of the day. That was a good catch if you were on it. So if you were watching these futures or remember the futures are the equivalent of trading about 800 of the triple Qs. So just do the multiplier there and figure out, is it one contract, that is a micro, what is it that you're comfortable looking at. Don't ever overextend yourself using futures, because that's been a death sentence for a lot of traders over the years. But if you caught it, then that inflection, it's typically pretty reliable, and today was no exception, that the first tests at these pivots tend to be a pretty good place to look for a trade. So earlier today, I sent out to the boys in Chicago, to the trade desk, a trade that we're putting together with options. So we're going to add an options strategy to this in the near future, hopefully an auto-traded strategy, so that it's not so complicated to put together and people don't miss things because of spreads and all that kind of stuff. It'll just be a block trading strategy that people can participate in. But you see that the inflection that we caught down at the pivot line managed to ricochet us right back up into what was our profit objective. So it's not a giant target. It's only about 40 cents per share traded that we were targeting on that on the Qs. But again, if you think about it as, let's make the contracts equal and just say one E-mini versus 800 shares of the Qs, it's 300 bucks and change on that little whipsaw to the upside. There was confluence with support and resistance. So all the things that we like to see in place were in place. You had support and resistance right at this volume by price threshold. That volume histogram is telling us where the important price levels are in terms of what we think is going to be an inflection point. When price came back up there again, it ran right into natural support and resistance, which happened to overlap with the anchored volume weighted average price of the move that happened earlier in the day. So a bunch of stuff came together right there. What we didn't have, of course, was confluence with this guy right here. So we did not have a band that came down. This didn't start tracking lower until recently, and that's why I was focusing just now on that central pivot. So if I'm looking at anything right now, it's a move back up to 389.53 that hopefully runs into the 2 standard deviation excursion, so that we're 2 standard deviations away from our mean, whether you're using volatility or you're using average price. This is sort of average price. This is kind of a Bollinger Band. I know that a couple of you have said you can't get yours to look exactly like this. It's sort of a hybrid of things that I'm using, but you can get pretty close. So just try doing a 2 standard deviation envelope with a 14 period moving average and a 14 period analysis of the 2 standard deviations and see if we can get it to work. But if we get back up there, right, if we get up to the central pivot, then I think that we've got a fairly good shot at a move back down to this anchored VWAP and support and resistance down here. So that's sort of my play for right now. The thing that's going to get in the way of getting to the pivot, of course, is going to be the volume weighted average price for the session. So that held it up. That's why we did not get, I thought we were going to get a trade off. It was coming back up this way. It was looking good for a few minutes. I thought that there was going to be a clean entry there, and it turned out there was no entry. So hopefully we didn't do a bunch of setup on the auto trading for nothing. If we did, then oh well, that's the way it goes, right? But maybe next time. So all in all, I think the strategy is pretty clear for the rest of the session. Let's watch and see, what kind of trend moves do we see going into the latter part of the day, because obviously this thing could wind up shifting directions. Everybody's speculating about whether or not the Fed is done. That's pushing markets. It's pushing and pulling, and right now there's a lot of geopolitical stuff obviously going on in the world that's also having an impact on what's happening. But by and large, keep an eye on the trend, and I would say when this kind of thing is happening, you want to make sure you focus on the short side unless you're at a major inflection point. So if we do get down into this green pivot right here, then I might look for a long side opportunity, since I think what's happening is we are trading around this fulcrum today, this red line in the middle, and it's probably going to be up and down and up and down. I kind of doubt that we're going to see a move out to R2 or S2, but nothing is precluded. So let's just watch what happens and see if we get some of those nice geometric pullbacks in the indices. And if we do, we can keep planning the trade. So keep an eye on the fib levels, keep an eye on your VWAPs, keep an eye on your volume by price histogram, on your hierarchical cluster analysis, and we should be in pretty good shape going into the latter part of the session. All right, so that is it for today. I hope that you're having a great trading day. I'll check back in with you guys later if something winds up looking a little bit different. Could be that for the final hour of the day we have another update, because like I said, things could swing out of these ranges. If they do, I'll be back. If not, let's just focus on what's right in front of us. Not what we wish was, but what is. All right, have a great day. Talk to you guys tomorrow.